It's your favorite Hearts of Iron 4 YouTuber here, and today I'm going to do a video about the long requested Redworld mod for Hearts of Iron 4, available on the Steam Workshop. Redworld asks, what if the Soviet Union won the Cold War? So, in 1950, just like in our timeline, North Korea, invades the South and quickly pushes to Seoul, totally without any foreign assistance whatsoever. The point of divergence from our timeline is when the UN Security Council decides to meet on intervention. While intervention is pretty universally supported, the Soviets vetoed the resolution, preventing the US from being able to effectively intervene in the war. So in 1951, the South finally surrenders. The second point of divergence is when then Senator JFK is assassinated in 1955, allowing Richard Nixon to win the presidential election in 1960. Nixon serves his first term, but then on election night 1964, before he can praise the great taste of Charleston chew, he is assassinated. Still, Nixon did win the most electoral votes, so they went to his running mate John Rhodes. Unfortunately for Rhodes, the Vietnam War was a thing, and the public wasn't having any of it, so he lost the re-election to Lyndon B. Johnson. And then, just like in our timeline, Lyndon B. Johnson's popularity tanked because of the Vietnam War. So since everyone just hated him, Johnson decided not to run again, and instead George Wallace picked up the Democratic ticket. But he still lost in '72 to John M. Ashbrook. Ashbrook was actually able to enjoy a high amount of popularity among the public for the first part of his term, until the Spanish decided to fuck everything up. So in 1975, Franco dies, and just like in our timeline, chaos ensues. Difference is, neighboring Portugal had already fallen to communist revolution, and all those defeated communists from the Spanish Civil War weren't exactly sitting on their laurels. The Spanish king went ahead and reinstated democracy, and everything seemed to be going fine until rumors of a communist coup with help from Portugal began to spread. The king decided to ignore this and went ahead with elections anyways. But then shit hit the fan when an American general leaked documents about a planned American intervention into Spain, which would reinstate a fascist dictatorship. The king at this point just gave up and declared martial law. Back in America, this caused quite the stir that tanked Ashbrook's popularity and allowed a lowly peanut farmer by the name of Jimmy Carter to win the presidency in 1976. Independents also had begun to gain popularity, especially with far-left groups who were able to gain Senate seats on the West Coast. Unfortunately, for the new administration of Jimmy Carter, the public had begun to find out about how his administration was arming right-wing rebel groups in South America. This in turn tanked his popularity and that of the Democrats during the '78 midterms, to the benefit of Republicans and independents. But now basically no legislation is able to be passed, since everyone in the government kinda hates each other. And on the other side of the Atlantic, socialist parties begin to surge in popularity. Over in Iran, the pro-US Shah is deposed. Just instead of an Islamic theocracy taking power, an anti-Western liberal democracy does. Back home, the public began to despise Carter for his involvement in Iran, which allows Reagan to win in 1980 with a comfortable majority of electoral votes. However, both the Communist and Libertarian parties both get several electoral votes. To add to the pile of shit, many state governments refuse to cooperate with the federal one. And also the biggest economic crisis since the Depression hits the US, and Congress is too divided to do anything about it. Then, in 1984, communists come out on top in national elections in France, West Germany, and Italy. Back in the US that year, no one even gets the needed 270 electoral votes, so the election goes to the House, which decides to stick with Reagan. Also, the communists take power in several more state governments. The next year, Germany is reunified under the DDR, and several other European states form the European Union of Socialist Republics. After independence gained even more ground in the 1986 midterms, it's realized at this point there's really nothing Reagan can even do. With rumors of an armed communist uprising, Reagan, wanting to prevent all the death and destruction that would happen with that, formally dissolves the United States in 1987. Every single state governor is giving independence, making each state a sovereign nation. F. In the ensuing years, primarily from 1987 to 1990, many states banded together, so by 2010, the starting date of the mod, the US is composed of about 11 different regional powers. The Soviets reign as the sole global superpower. However, many point at an increasing complacency and arrogance in Moscow, which makes many fear that the Soviet Union could topple at any moment. Redworld is available on the Steam Workshop, link in the description. Thanks to patrons Trotsky's Daddy, Skylar Weston, Andy Luke, Amit F.A. Simchek, AP Terminator, and Helipilot.